Hello, I just wanted to provide a quick overview of what most of my online courses are like so that this could help you when you're working with students about what to expect. So I'm just going to use developmental psychology as an example. Pretty much all my online courses, regardless of the course, work the same way. So when they come into the home page, now obviously this is not the student view, but there's a few things they couldn't see. So to come in here, they're always going to have a countdown timer. I don't have it set yet, but it'll tell them how many days, hours, minutes, and seconds until the next unit, the units due. So they always have that notice, and of course, they always have the syllabus that has all the information they need, information about the course, obviously, and I also have the due dates and stuff in here too. At the moment they're blank because I haven't got that set up for the fall. But everything of course is there. And then under modules, a few things I do to help students out is, of course, there's the start here that gives them some basic information about the course, some frequently asked questions. They can see some advice from past students. I give them a sample homework assignment with the graded that's been graded by a student. I got the student's permission, and so they can see what kind of things I'm looking for. And of course, I have information about using copy leaks, how to convert their word processing files to PDFs, and you can ignore that. And then I also have a whole module on study aids. So I put this together so that if students are having difficulty with studying, here are a bunch of things that can help them. And these are all things based upon research. So it's not just kind of like, oh, here's what I kind of think should work. I looked at some research articles that talked about the ones that have been shown to be effective from research studies. So I have those things in here, like getting the most out of studying is a series of like 5 videos from a professor that is kind of an expert on student studying, and he talks about some basic tips they can use. And I have a few other explanations. I also have a page that will help students, high school students, kind of know what to expect, like if it's their first college course. And I also have something about how to go about reading a textbook. Now this is more of a video I put together that talks about ways to kind of attack your reading assignments to get the most out of them. Then I have another one about how to kind of learn to understand what multiple choice questions are asking. So what we're looking at here is if you're having trouble with it, if you don't know the answer to something right away, how can you look at it and break it down to find out exactly what it's asking and maybe get some clues as to what answer they're looking for. I have a couple of things to deal with test anxiety. I also have a video to talk about how to use the practice quizzes I provide, how to use them effectively. I also talk about when you're using the practice quizzes, the questions that are not correct. So like, if B, C, and D are wrong, well, how can you use those incorrect answers to help you study? And so I have information on that. I have some information about how to improve your writing and so forth. So I have all that stuff, and actually the first homework assignment there in all my classes, students have to pick one of these test techniques to try. So they'll have to take one chapter out of the first unit and study for the practice quiz the way they normally would, and then try one of these new techniques and on the second chapter, and then compare the two and talk about which ones work, which ones didn't, and how much they like them. And I've started doing this because the research I've done with my students have told me over 97% of students have told me no one has ever taught them to study. Now, of course, whether that's true or not, maybe somebody did, but they just don't remember. But the point is, that's what they feel. They feel like no one has ever taught them. So this is kind of my attempt to help them learn how to study. And then within each chapter, there's always a practice quiz. Now you don't see them here because I still have to add them for this course. But there's always a practice quiz that's not graded that they can look at. There's usually several homework options that they can choose from. And so in my courses, what I do is they have to choose 5. Everybody has to do this very first one about how to improve your study skills. But after that, the remaining 4, they can pick the ones they want. And there are plenty of choices to give them some variety. They just have to make sure that they get them done before the semester ends. And so I give them that kind of freedom so that they have some choice. Research suggests students like having some choice in their class about what they learn, so this gives them a little bit of choice. And some students choose to get them all done right away, so they choose ones from each of the first few units, and they're done by midterm. And they don't have to worry about homework, they just have to worry about discussion post and tests. So it's kind of nice. So they have a lot of freedom with that. And so these are the kind of things I usually provide. So I just thought I'd give you a little idea about what is available. And of course, I'm always available to answer questions. And if you look at the research, I know a lot of students will say, and there's a lot of rumors that my classes are really hard and that are impossible. If you actually look at the final grade distribution, the distribution of grades in my classes are the same as any other instructor for psychology. There really isn't any difference. The difference between my courses and other courses is that I stick to the deadlines. I know some of my colleagues let them retake tests, let them do stuff late, give them the questions before they take the tests. I'm trying to help prepare them for what they're going to get at a 4-year school. A 4-year school is not going to do any of that stuff. Now, students do get to drop their lowest test score. So if they don't do well on one of the tests, it's not going to affect them in the finals. So I guess my point is my courses really aren't any harder than any other course. And it's not going to take them any more work. It's just that they've got to do the work and be willing to ask questions. So thank you for your time.